Amazing performance. It was a privilege.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for coming.
I have a lot of questions, but a lot of what I wanted to ask, Robbie, you touched on when you were talking at the piano. I know you were born in Hungary. You are Romani.
Yes.
Tell me what that means to grow up Romani.
How much time do you have?
Well, they want you to sign CDs, I think.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I need to sell some CDs. My middle brother Louis plays bass, and Frank, as you heard, played drums. So I got a lot of different music, you know, and that's a huge part of it. My father being a musician, which is a very, very good thing, because he wasn't only doing one type of styles and talk badly about all the other styles, but we would listen to everything at home, and that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, you talked about Johann Sebastian Bach being a great influence on your music. How does a boy from Hungary, a Romani, how do you get to Canada playing jazz?
Well, you know, as you know, jazz is not... Hungary used to be communist, so jazz, it wasn't the most popular thing, and in some places you even had trouble if you played jazz. You know, I know a drummer and a couple other people who got to jail for, you know, playing jazz, but you know, it wasn't as bad as in some other communist countries. And so I think it's the hunger for something you can't have. And it's, you know, we also, Romani people face so much persecution all around the world, and what's really common about jazz is that it's coming from a Black American experience. It's not coming from certain people, it's coming from the blues, which was created by, you know, it's not a happy thing, but mostly it's a sad thing. And I think that in order to play jazz, you don't necessarily have to be persecuted, but you have to really understand persecution. Because blues, for example, is the easiest, you know, notes to play. Like everybody can play the blues. You know, everybody can hold the guitar and play the one blues scale, but it's the hardest style on the planet to really feel and really play it with meaning. And I think what's common in jazz and Romani music is the persecution, and it's somehow it connects. So you and that improvising is a huge part of that too. And Hungarian gypsy music is hugely inspired by Bach and classical music all around the world. And gypsy music greatly inspired composers like Rachmaninoff and Franz Liszt, and they even admitted it. And who knows, maybe Johann Sebastian Bach as well, because we were around in his time, you know, we were all over the place already. But what I'm saying is, Franz Liszt used to go and find where the gypsies live, and he would spend time and write, and he even admits that his Hungarian compositions are full of gypsy music, orchestrated, what he heard in a local restaurant, or, you know, so hugely contributed. And it's works both ways, of course. You know, we were lucky to be born in Hungary, where there was so many great history of music. You know.
You talked very briefly about the documentary film People Uncounted, and you had a chance to contribute to the global voice of the Romani people through that film. Tell us about that experience a little bit, and writing the music, and how that came about.
Well, this is definitely the deepest project I think I'll ever do, no matter what level you work in music. But to try to add something in music to such an important subject and the untold story, and I think it's kind of a shame that it's untold, but I'll very quickly try to tell you, if you're all interested, in 10 seconds. No, it's gonna be more, but I'll try to. I have a couple of great friends, a lot of great friends in Toronto. I can say that in the 12, 13 years I met people, I never met these kind of people in Hungary. That's the truth. There is some beautiful people there, but I met some exceptional people here, and I was teaching piano to one of them, whose name is Lenny Binder. And his mother is a Holocaust survivor. And as we played the music, you know, he was just listening to me playing some stuff, and I said, oh, actually, that chord is from Schindler's List, the soundtrack of Schindler's List. And then we started talking a little bit about it. And 2 days before that, I watched that movie with my wife for the, 20th time. And every time I watched that movie, my heart would break. Not only because of the story of it, but because I know that the only other race who got wiped out because of their race, not for other reason, but because of their race, was Romani. And in a 3-hour-long movie, there's not one mention, or in that whole documentary series after that, when they have the Shell Foundation with all the interviews, you just don't hear, the only other race who was killed because of their race, not for other reasons. And anyways, try to be quick, because I can talk to you for weeks about this. And I told him this briefly, that I've been researching for like 8 years prior to this movie. I've been researching on who am I, what's my background, what is this, who are some of the famous people. I read about Charlie Chaplin being a gypsy, Bob Hoskins, Yul Brynner, Rita Hayworth, Andre Pirlo, the soccer player for the AC Milan team. And why people don't talk about this, but every time we commit a crime, it's on the front page of the newspaper. Or if we steal a piece of bread, because by the way, for 1,000 years you're not allowed to the stores because you've been persecuted. If I steal food, why does it make the front cover of the newspaper? And anyways, we talk about this, and the guy goes, okay, we have to tell this story. And it took him less than 24 hours to call me back and say that I have the director, I have the crew, we're going to Europe to film, I'm financing this. Along with Tom Resky, who's also a very, very good friend, and he's been supporting me since I got here, and supporting my brother Frank and Louis as well. And so these guys just stood behind us, this movie project, and they asked me to do the music, and I tried to stay away from the dialogue as much as possible, because I didn't want people to come out of the theater and la 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 la. If it's a documentary, you've done a bad job if they come out of the theater singing. You have to just give enough colors. And I even thought that it's still too much. Take some away, but because I so wanted this project to be out there and people hear this message, so it was a greatest experience to not only do a job, like I always go to the studio, record, get the track done, it gets into a movie, whatever, it's another movie, it's another Hollywood movie, but this, no matter how far it gets, is the strongest message I think out there about humanity, for sure.
Because it was so personal to you.
Exactly, and it's my race, and some of my relatives were gone, and it's...
And lots of footage, but I hear the editor was the same one who edited...
Fahrenheit 9/11 and the other Michael Moore movie.
Yeah.
That one,
yes.
Which I can't pronounce. So anyways, great editor, some Hollywood guys, it's a great project.
And the film was very well received at the Montreal International Film Festival.
It got into about 8 film festivals, and it's nominated for all of those.
Very well received.
I'm hoping, only because it's the most important message right now, because racism right now is getting really bad in Hungary. It's not only because what happened, but the movie also talks about these neo-Nazi groups who are threatening even some of those survivors who are still alive, and they're old. They just, excuse me to say, but they just want to die in peace. They don't want anything, and they would write on their walls that you think you survived, but we're gonna, it's really bad. It just doesn't necessarily get all the way here when you're on the streets and when you're one of us and trying to get a job, and that stuff is different. Some people from here should go there incognito and research,
Thank you for sharing that story with us.
No problem. I try to stay, short.
I think now would be